In this video, I'm going to share with you some challenging yet industry standard PowerPoint skills so that you can pass your MOS exam or even get a perfect score on the PowerPoint 2019 exam just like I did.
The Finer Things Club is the most exclusive club in this office. Naturally, it's where I need to be. The party planning committee is my backup, and Kevin's band is my safety.
So for task 1, we're going to create a section, and sections in PowerPoint are like little chapters in your presentation. So we're going to name our chapter here Finer Things Information. That includes slides 3 through 6. So there's already one here. You can see the introduction one, and there's only slides. So there's only 6 slides. So you can just put your insertion point before slide 3 and then right click and then add section. And then you're going to see this pop up, rename section. We'll just delete the name here. And then on your exam, you should get in the practice of if there's like something underlined here or they want you to name something, you can quickly click on it and then paste it. I'm just going to type it in. You can do that as well if you feel confident in your typing, but I don't. So I usually just copy and paste. So Finer Things Information, rename it, and you see the name appear right here. That's our section. It covers slides 3 through 6. For task 2, we're going to jump on over to slide 4, and then we're going to add the alt text description, a room with a view book, to the upper left image. So this is great, makes your presentation more accessible, because if you had someone with visual challenges, they could have the alt text description read to them with a program, and they kind of know what's going on, even if they couldn't see your presentation too well. So to do that, you would click on this image, and then we're going to go up to the picture format tab. That's my favorite way of doing this. And then click the alt text icon here, which is going to open up this alt text pane. And then, oh look, they already made one that's automatically generated. That's kind of nice. So, but they've got it horribly wrong. So we're just going to get rid of that. And then all you would have to do on your exam is click here and then paste it in here. So I'm just going to paste the title, and then I'm going to exit, and there's our alt text description of that picture. For task 3, we're going to add some SmartArt, a vertical bullet list that has the shapes with text in it called no paper, no plastic, and no work talk from top to bottom. Now the tricky part about using SmartArt is how to find the shapes that you want. So we're looking for a vertical bullet list. So that's a list type of SmartArt. So there's different kinds based on this huge menu. So we're going to click the insert a SmartArt graphic icon here, and then it kind of hints that it wants a list. So, or yours might say like process or a cycle or like a relationship, just depending on which type it is. You can find it in kind of a condensed menu here. So we're going to look for the list types, and I believe the vertical bullet list, that's a vertical box list, which you might have. This is a vertical bullet list. So we're going to choose that one and then press OK. And there it is. And when you're typing things in, you can type in the shapes, but that makes things a little bit confusing. What I would suggest is use this arrow, and just kind of makes things a little bit easier to perform. So it makes it easier for you to type and kind of know what's going on. So we want no paper, no plastic. And a lot of the times if you have a secondary bullet, you'll probably be asked to delete it on your exam. So I'm just going to delete this one. And then, so that should be from top to bottom, no paper, no plastic, and no work talk. There. So we've got our 3 shapes. From top to bottom, and then we'll just exit, and then that's how you would insert SmartArt. So now we're going to go to the last slide in this presentation so that we can insert a new feature in PowerPoint, which is 3D models. So it's really cool to use, and you can do a lot of fun stuff with them. I even had like a dinosaur running around the screen on one presentation. So towards someone, and we'll insert it, and we'll make this guy nice and big. Although just keep in mind, including 3D models can really up the size of your file, so it's hard to send if you do that. But if you want to keep an audience awake, if you're presenting numbers of people, this might be a way to keep them awake. In this one, it's not as fun as that one. We've just got popcorn, and the way you would insert it on this slide would be to click the Insert tab, look for your 3D models, and then usually on your exam it's this device, and then you'd go into your documents folder and go get the model because they've saved a 3D model on their computer. I didn't do that, so we're going to use the stock 3D models instead, and you can do that too. So it's the same models that you have with your PowerPoint. Then in the search bar we can just type in popcorn, and there it is. So we'll just double click on that, and now we can move it over here, and we'll resize it to 3.7 in height, 3.7 inches, and 2.8 inches in width. There we go. So we made it a little bit smaller. Usually what they'll say on your exam is sort of position it, but the exact positioning doesn't matter. The size does in this one because we were asked to actually make it a certain size, but the exact position most of the time won't matter. So for task 5, we're going to change an animation effect that already exists. So that could be a little bit tricky in the wording because you might think you have to add a new animation effect. That's not what they're asking for. You're just modifying an already existing one. So just be careful with the wording there, whether you're adding a new animation or modifying an already existing one. So I'll just highlight the bullet points here, and then we'll click on the animations tab and we'll check out, okay, they've already added the wipe animation. We're just going to change the effect options in the drop arrow here. And the original default was from the bottom, and we want to change it to from right. Maybe it looks better that way. So here's a little preview from right, and then up the duration to 2 seconds. So you could type in 2 or just click up a few times like I did, and there's 2 seconds, and this is what it looks like, a little bit slower. And that's how you would modify an animation, not just insert a new one. And for the last step, we'll add a transition to our presentation, but there's a little bit of a trick here on a timed exam. Let me show you. So when we go to transitions, we're just modifying an already existing transition. So this fade transition, we want to change it to the duration of 2 seconds. So you either type in 2 or just toggle this up to about 2 seconds. And then don't forget to do this. This is something I would do. I would just skip past this, but don't forget to apply to all. And then you should, if you've done that correctly, you should see a transition star beside all of your slides, and that's how you complete this project.
Stop yelling at me! No, stop yelling! There's no room here!
So now we're on project 2, Michael's car insurance. And what I would suggest that you guys do if you have a task like task number 1, where it says in the file properties, set the title to, and then it has something underlined. Whatever is underlined, click that before you even begin the task, because that'll copy it to the clipboard, and then you can paste it whatever you need to. So copy this on your test, get the instructions and just click on whatever's underlined. That'll copy it to a clipboard. And then we need to go to the File tab. And this is one of those universal questions that's in PowerPoint, Word, or Excel, where you change the file properties. File properties are like metadata for your document. So it just gives a little bit of extra info. So that should tell us where we need to go, the Info tab. And then you'll probably have to click on Show All Properties because they won't just give you one that's easy to find. It's going to be hard to find. And here's, oh look, we've got Michael's car insurance right here. Copy and pasted that. I think I might have tested that step out, but anyways, if you were doing that for the first time, just Control V or Command V if you're using a Mac, and then just click outside. Just don't put a space after. Be careful not to like touch anything. Just click outside once you've pasted that, and that'll be fine. So then we'll just go back to the normal view, and we can move on to step 2, which is going to be after the title slide, create a slide by importing the Choose Us document. So to import text from a Word document, the way you do that is just put the insertion point where you need it to go. So I'm going to put mine here because it's supposed to be a new slide after the title slide. And then in the Home tab, it's got these options here. So you're either going to be asked to insert slides from a different presentation or a Word document. Sometimes you can be asked that about like 3 or 4 times on an exam, so it's really good to know those skills. So slides from outline is a Word document, reuse slides is from a PowerPoint presentation. So we're going to choose outline, and it's actually in, so normally it'd be in your documents folder, so you just click on there and it would automatically come up. My computer has a little bit more documents, so I'm going to quickly go to my desktop, which you really shouldn't do, and then go find the file there. It's the Choose Us Word document, and I'll just double click on that. And then I have a few slides inserted from the points of that Word document. Now for step 3, we're going to go on the 3 levels of insurance slide for the text. Okay, so that's the one down here. 3 levels of insurance. It says we're going to, for the text gold, silver, and bronze insurance, change the text fill color to white text 1. So that can be a little bit tricky because there's word art, or the old, that's what they used to call it, word art, which is like a text style. And that'll have a really long name. This one has a very short name, so we're just kind of dealing with a normal fill color for the font. But if it has a really long name, you're dealing with text style. So I'll show you the difference between the two. We're going to highlight this text box, so just make sure when you click on this that there's a solid line and not a dotted line, because that won't change anything if it's a dotted line. So, and then we'll click on shape format. So text fill is here. That's the one we need. And then if it has a really long name, that'll be in the word art styles. So it's called word art, and it'll have, like, check out this name: text color 1, outline black, background color, hard shadow, red X. Okay, it's so long. So if it's a short name, it's just a text fill. If it's a long name, it's a word art style. Okay, because word art styles just have more features to them, like the text outline and the fill and the shadow. This is just a simple text fill. So text fill, and then we got to look for the color white text 1, which is pretty straightforward. It's probably this top one here. Yep, white text 1, and just click that one, and the color change. That's how you complete task 3. Task 4, we're on the 3 levels of insurance slide. So the one we're on, enlarge the smallest car icon to match the size of the other 2 icons. Yeah, there's no button in PowerPoint that'll let you do this, but they ask kind of weird stuff like that on your exam. So what you want to do is click on the picture, the shape, or the icon that they ask. Just go to the one they're talking about. Okay, this one is 2.47, 2.47. And then just make it this one. Like, just literally just copy the same dimensions. I know that sounds, there should be an easier way to do that, but hey. And then they'll usually say that the position of the new car doesn't matter, but I like it there. It looks neat. All right, so that's it. So if you have a question like that, it's easier than it sounds, I guess. Anyways, so step 5 on the premium slide. So this one, delete the 25,000 coverage column. Yeah, so we're gonna delete a. So we don't want the cheap coverage. So I'll highlight that. There's a few ways you can do that, but I'm gonna highlight that column. Go to table design, scratch that. I said layout, and then delete drop arrow, and then delete column. So it's just going to delete that. Even though there's an S at the end, it sounds like it's plural. It's only going to delete the column that we chose, and then it's gone. And then you can reposition the table if you want. They don't really care usually, so if you reposition it. So on to step 6. On the premium slide, we're going to animate the car icon so that it flies in from the left with a duration of 3 seconds. So don't forget those 2 things when you animate. Sometimes I'll do the first one and forget the second part. Do both. Read the whole task completely, okay? Don't just do one thing and be like, see, I changed it. I'm done. That's what I do, and I've lost marks for that in the past. So make sure you read the whole task completely and you do everything that it asks you to. So it's gonna say animate the car icon. Okay, so we've got the car icon. We wanna go to the animations tab, and then it flies in. So we want it to fly in, and then from the left, so that has a cool effect. It comes like races across the slide with the duration of 3 seconds. Now that was super fast. Let's make it realistic. 3 seconds, maybe it's a little slow, but we'll see. So when we click preview, there's your, yeah, it's probably too slow. But hey, it's car insurance. You don't want to drive your car into a lake. You got to go slow. There you go.
It's only $25.
Wow. Okay.
Task 1, we're going to insert a slide footer that displays the slide number and the name Dwight's Fitness. So again, we have a task where something's underlined. You can just click on it to copy it to your clipboard first. So I would do that every time you see something that's underlined. Click it first, and then you'll need to paste it somewhere. So, but we're going to do this inside the footer option. So we're going to add a slide footer. Okay. So this is what it looks like on my computer. I'm going to go to the Insert tab, and then there's the header and footer icon. The MOS exam might look like this, so it's not as obvious. It's sort of in the text group drop arrow. You'll have to click on that and then go from there. But yeah, just make sure it's the slide tab, and then it says insert a slide that displays the slide number, so we want to check that. And the footer, so hopefully you've already clicked on and pasted at this point. So just Command V if you're using a Mac, Control V if you're using a PC, and that way you don't have to run into, like, you don't want to lose marks because of a spelling error or something silly like that. And then just pay attention to, are the instructions asking me to don't show on title slide? So another way of saying that is to add slides except the title slide. So they want you to click this. Don't show on the title slide, but apply to all slides. So again, don't hit this one. It's only going to apply to that one slide. Apply to all slides except the title slide. So apply to all. That's how you would complete that type of task. I know there's a lot there. Now we want to trim the image. So we're going to copy this image. Sorry, not trim it. Make sure that you don't want to lose marks if you're trying to resize it. Resizing is not what we want to do. We just want to crop it so it kind of matches the edge of this slide. I know that can get confused with, like, just, you know, pulling this over here, but they want you to crop it in this kind of task. So, and it says don't change the size of the image or scale. Yeah, it's not as hard as it sounds. You just click on the picture, go to picture format, and then click crop. It's just basic crop, and you just pull this in from the right, and then just make sure it lines up. There's like a little red line that actually no, the first red line was lying to me. There, drop it right there, and then you can click outside, and or were they? Oh, it's because my shape is off. Sorry. Okay, now my shape and picture are in line with the alignment of the slide. That's what the first red one was trying to match it to the shape that I put over the slide too. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Slide 3 on task 3 on slide 2 in the right. Okay, so so this might be one of the most challenging types of questions you have in your PowerPoint, where you're actually editing data. Something you don't think about when you're using PowerPoint is editing data. But we are dealing with charts which are going to have data in them. So in the right content placeholder, we're going to copy the data from the table into a 3D pie chart that displays the content from the table. So you can type this all out, but it's a little bit easier if you just copy and paste it. It might be a little bit finicky with the, when you go to copy. So just copy the table, and hopefully the values get copied. Okay, so copy that. And then what you want to do is create the chart first. You have no data yet, but that won't stop you from creating a chart. So click on the chart icon, go to pie. They want a 3D one. You might be asked to do like a area or scatter or a line one, line with markers, that kind of thing. So, but we're just going to do a pie 3D, and then press OK. Okay, now you should see this little window pop up. Sometimes it has a few more columns than that, depending on what kind of chart you have. So if your blue square was sort of over here, you just want to drag it to however columns you need. We just need one, because we've got the and you want to start in A1, even though the day of the week isn't measured per se. I'll show you how that looks. So just start in A1, and I believe it's match destination theme. You don't want to do this because then it'll look like the table and it'll be huge and kind of blow up the Excel sheet there. So match destination formatting. And then I'm just going to auto fit this column. So there we go. That's all we need. So just make sure that you copy and paste in A1 if you're given a task like this, and then make sure you say match destination formatting. And then as long as that goes smoothly, I don't see there being a problem, other than maybe like there might be a few values here, but as long as your blue square doesn't cover those values and it only covers the values or the numbers that you included in there shouldn't be a problem. So, and then you can just exit. There's our chart, and we're done. All right, so on to slide 3. We got examples of exercises by Dwight. So on slide 3, change the view of the 3D model. Yeah, so now we're in 2019. The PowerPoint, we're dealing with 3D models, and you might have to insert some or just change the view. So we're just going to click on this one, go to the 3D model options, and then try to look for the view that we need. So there's a bunch of them. You can change like different, it's kind of cool, but we want the one that left because it looks like we're jumping onto that treadmill right away. So, and then we'll resize it to a height of 5 inches. So quite a bit different. You can type it in. I just kind of like clicking. I know that's probably annoying for you if you just want to type it in and get over with really quick. But I just feel like I have more control, and then I'll put it up here, even though they didn't tell us to. Sometimes they'll say the positioning doesn't matter, but the height does. So that's it. Apply the airplane transition with the left effect option to all of the slides. So sometimes there's a little bit of overlap in the task, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Yeah, just sometimes they randomize which tasks you get, and that's fine. So this one's a lot like the transition one we had in project 1. So a transition. And we've got the airplane transition. So add it right there. I think I already played around with this. So if you were just coming here for the first time, it would say none. And then we look for the airplane one. What are some popular ones though? I think they get you to do wipe a lot, reveal on these type of exams. Yeah, mostly these ones, mostly the subtle ones. You don't want to be doing too many of these ones, but I thought the airplane one was cool. I think there is an episode where Dwight competes with somebody with an airplane competition. Anyone who watches The Office a lot can tell me if I was right or wrong, but I think there is one, so that's why I used it in here. And then apply the transition with the left effect option to all of the slides. Okay, so a lot like the that one, and then apply to all of the slides. Now there's not that little one that says not the title slide, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so it just says apply to all, and then from left. And then just check that I have the same transition. So I did actually apply it to all, and I did. Okay, so great. That's it for this task and this project.
Now I turn it over to you guys. Let me know in the comments section below this video, what was the toughest task that you saw? I'll have 3 more projects and 3 more office references next week, so that video will be up on the bottom right of your screen. Join me there next week, and I'll see you then. Bye.